Welcome to the video where I talk about my book. I hope this works because I don't even care at this point. Let me put the food down. Do not come for me. Okay, I'm just gonna spoiler alert. Hi, welcome to the video where I talk about my book. Also, I've filmed this twice. The first time I gave way too many spoilers and I didn't know what the heck I was saying because I didn't really have an idea. Second version, I did have some notes taken down and they were so vague that I just ended up I don't know, monologuing, word vomiting forever, and then it was ridiculously hard to follow. So now I have an actual bullet point outline so that I don't give you spoilers, but I do give you enough information to actually care about the book. So yeah, I hope this works because I don't even care at this point. This is the video I'm going with. And also I'm starving and I have this leftover Crunchwrap from lunch. So you're gonna have to just watch me eat it while we go over this. I'm gonna also screen record my Pinterest board and stuff so you can see that. And I think today we're also gonna I might put some Spotify songs up. I don't know, that my Spotify playlist is a little all over the place, but I wanna go over what the themes are, who my characters are, the setting, all of that. I think it's gonna be pretty awesome. So if you're interested, stick around, I guess, if you want. I guess you can grab a snack also if you want. This is gonna be a chatty one. Yeah, so let's see. Let me put the food down. Okay. Also, if you see me looking down or over here, my computer and my outline are both right here. So sorry, not sorry. This book started honestly with just a single question. And it was, what does it mean to be human? Like truly human, especially nowadays with AI and with honestly reading a lot of sci-fi and fantasy and thinking about the future of technology and where that's going, which kind of inevitably led me to like transhumanism and like bioengineering and ethics of bioengineering. But yeah, so what does it mean to be human? And so it's just been that thought has been sitting in my brain for a while, for a couple of years. And then follow-up thought also that came later, but how much of a monster are you prepared to become to save or protect the people that you care about and that you love? So yeah, I kind of like that. It's a little dark, but it's also not. When I think about the future and technology and the society and, you know, grappling with all of those types of morally gray, like situations and things that might come up, those two questions really linked in my mind. And then it made me want to write a book kind of like making an argument, I guess, one way or the other. I don't want to do just like blanket themes. I want thematic arguments. I want my book to say something or to argue one way, and it might not be the right way. But I do want people to read it and then, yeah. I'm probably talking way too much right now. The third thing that came up before I started writing this book. So I've got, what does it mean to be human? How much of a monster are you prepared to become to protect the ones you love? Like basically, what is the price of love? Third question, it's kind of just thrown in there, is how ancient prophecies might manifest in a technologically advanced society. It's not really a question, it's an idea. So those three questions and ideas are what birthed my baby of my novel. And there's also some romantic subplots because I love me some romantic subplots. They're big ones though. So I guess let's get into it. I need to eat first of all. Sorry, it's gonna happen. So let's start with, why am I writing this book? Like, why am I writing it? Why do I want to write it? Well, these thoughts, those questions I mentioned have been rolling around in the back of my brain for a long time, kind of compounding. I think my subconscious is really just latched onto it. And I read a lot, and every time I read sci-fi, fantasy, even like romance and stuff, I just feel like I'm left with wanting more. Like a lot of books have sections or ideas or relationships and things that I love, but I haven't found a book that has all of the things I love in one. So I guess I need to write it. Some of those things are also a slow burn romance, LGBTQIA plus representation, real sci-fi and fantasy in the same book. And then I want to push boundaries when it comes to the binaries of good and evil or black and white, you know. I want to push those boundaries and kind of play with it. And the reason I'm so into this idea, also one of my inspirations we'll get to later, will make all of this make sense. It sounds a little confusing right now, but I promise you it's not. And as soon as we get there, you can skip there. I think I have everything kind of chaptered down here. So, but anyway, we'll get there and I think it'll make total sense. Basically, I'm tired of like totally delineated concepts and themes in stories, and I want to play with the nuance. Yeah, I want to play with nuance. I don't want to write a book that is just super easy to swallow. Or I guess my writing style is super easy to swallow. It's very simple and approachable, but I think I want everything to be a little bit layered with subtext, or deeply layered with subtext. So you can read it for fun, surface level, or you can really think about it and it'll hit you a little deeper. Like I said, the influences that'll make sense. Okay, I'm just gonna spoiler alert. It's one of the biggest ones was the show Arcane. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I will explain in a minute, but I'm just gonna jump ahead to what is the core premise of this book, okay? The core premise of this book. I wrote this down because I'm not good at condensing my story into like a few sentences. I still suffer from that like brain freeze, blank, seeing nothing but white in my mind when someone asks me what my book's about. So I'm just gonna read this, but this is a gritty sci-fi fantasy story. This is also a first draft, so do not come for me. This is bad. I wrote it really fast, but it's just for the sake of this video. So don't take it with a grain of salt. It will change. Anyways. This is a gritty sci-fi fantasy story exploring the fragility of humanity and the horrors of romantic love, familial bonds, and unchecked technology. The plot follows a group of unlikely allies who must work together to survive a sudden resurgence of ancient magic while attempting to prevent a war between humanity and technology. It's like literally the most vague and bare bones description, and I hate it, but that's kind of what it is. Like if you break it down. What do you think? I have feelings, so be nice. Critique me, fair. But can you be nice about it? Thanks. Oh, let's get into the world and the setting. So that's another fun one. I guess this is where I'm gonna just start with Pinterest though, because you need to be able to see it. Well, first let me take another bite. It just hits every time. Boom, recording. Am I? Yeah, okay. So, I apologize for all the eating sounds. That's probably really gross ASMR. Moving on. We're gonna start here. Settings and vibe. So you can kind of see. Like I said, it's a gritty sci-fi fantasy. Setting is around 2210 or so. At least, you know, almost 200 years in the future. I haven't really nailed down the exact number, but due to severe overpopulation, due to climate change, us having to move away from like the equator because it's too hot, and also technology making everyone live longer, we've got way too many people on the planet. So instead of building out, because we don't have a lot of actual space, the cities are just building up, as you can see, like this. This is not even tall enough. I'm talking like up into the clouds. Kind of a similar feeling to like Ready Player One or like Fifth Element cities. Like they just like build up, but just like times that by 100 or more. Anyways, there's also highly advanced tech, mega corporations that basically run the government. And then there's like robot servants and customer service robots and things like that, of course. And cybernetic modifications on the body are also the social norm. So I'm going through here a little bit slow, sorry. I'll get to that. The upper levels of the skyscrapers have all like the rich people, the aristocrats, the whatever, all the rich people up in the top areas. And then as you get lower down the stacks of skyscrapers, the poorer things can get, or they do get, to the point where the lowest common level that, because there's bridges between a lot of these buildings. No one even goes to the ground anymore. The lowest common level with bridges that people even go to that's safe is like floor 90 or so. Everywhere beneath that, only people go to like make sure that everything's structurally sound and like the buildings aren't gonna fall over. But they think people up in the top floors, I call it like the airy, like birds. They could honestly don't even think people live down below floor 90. But guess what? They do. Yeah, so the lower levels are, well, they are full of repurposed tech. There's lots of just, I mean, this totally is like the vibe, to be honest. I love the water. Water is also a huge theme in this, but I'll get to that later. But repurposed tech, this is another really good one. Sorry, a lot of these are AI modified. I didn't notice when I first made this Pinterest board because I have a really big Pinterest board. I just like condensed it for this video, but well, I feel ashamed. But anyways, lots of repurposed tech, getting off topic. Lots of Frankenstein, like cybernetic modifications to the body, but also like vehicles and things like that. Because they still can use roads, although they use a lot of repurposed subway lines. I'll get to that later. But yeah, it's full of urban decay, basically. But there is a thriving trade market and a lot of, people who are less fortunate financially or who are sick or like orphans and stuff live down there. But you're still looking here at the vibes. There's lots of advanced tech. Some of these are characters, some are not. Some are just aesthetics. Oh, I love this one too. Look at this picture. If that could be my cover, that would be fantastic. But that's not, I'm not going to use AI stuff. Anyway, but you can see like some people are like heavily modified over here. This would be probably a poorer person because they're very obvious. When people are cybernetically modified in the airy or like the rich people, all their modifications are like seamless in their body. So they look like bodies until they, do something like transform into something or whatever. But then they go back and they just look like a seamless human. But then the poorer you get, the more like obvious your modifications are. And there are some people who are intentionally like not priestesses, but there's, some people are just a little weird about their tech. I mean, even the fashion, look at that. It reminds me of Tron, but yeah. Anyway, those are the vibes. I would say, if I'm honestly thinking about vibes, I'd think of rain-slicked streets. I would think of flickering lights, mechanical grease smells, obviously. I would think, I have some a list of it right here. Overcrowding, crime, stark class divides, kind of similar to like Blade Runner or The Expanse, specifically like the Belters in The Expanse, like how their setting is. Or even Shadowrun. Okay, well, maybe not. High-tech gadgets with the backdrop of poverty, corrupt authority, and a constant struggle for survival in a futuristic slums of megacities. And yeah, I know I totally read that off my sheet, but that sounded like it slapped. Okay. But that basically leads me to my main character, Erik. Let me get another bite of my food. And I'm keep checking my camera battery because I don't have a lot of battery. So I might have to do a part 2. I'm just kidding. Oh, I hate that. I hate part 2s. This is so good. Wait, quick, do I have sauce on my face? No? Okay. Is that where you were? I don't know. That's fine. Okay. So, Erik. This is probably the most accurate picture of him. Not really a lot of tattoos, but some, I guess. But the point is he's got really long blonde hair and glasses. And this guy does not look like him, but there's not a lot of pictures of blonde dudes with glasses. Anyway, so picture this dude or this dude with glasses. Erik is a world-renowned programmer, or computer programmer slash hacker slash computer engineer. Yeah. And he was orphaned at a young age, but he found an amazing foster family. And he ended up getting really, really close to his foster brother, Ren, which I did not show you a second ago, but he was right here. This is his foster brother, Ren. And they got really close, and they're still close through adulthood right now. So best friends, brothers. But, you know, Erik really has a deep-seated fear of abandonment, which obviously, I'm totally crooked, but anyway, obviously when you're orphaned, it makes sense that you would have a fear of abandonment. So he has a really big one. And he also he just really wants to take care of his community, because in the lower levels, they have a huge, thriving community where everyone takes care of each other and actually cares about each other, which is much different than, you know, the celebrity, like, upper class world. But, and also, note, his glasses are an unpaid side character. He wants to take care of the lower levels. He sees them as his community and his family and his friends, and that's basically what he cares about, is keeping everyone together, safe, healthy. So he does his contracts doing coding freelance to help pay for and support his community. He's highly, highly intelligent, but he's also very paranoid about technology. So he's so smart when it comes to technology that he's almost afraid of it, and he lives like it's 1999, and instead of having like technological like front doors, for example, like opening up with a key card or like a implant or something, he uses like bolt locks, because he believes a 12-year-old can hack a door. So he's reverted back. So he has like no technology almost in his apartment, except for what he's built himself. So it's really kind of hilarious to me. I mean, it's hilarious to me. Oh, he's also, yeah, he covers all of his insecurities with humor and like lightheartedness. He tries to not take anything too seriously, but it's really, you know, a coping mechanism. So that's why you see stuff like this. Do I have to blur that? I don't know. But yeah, so that's him. And you can see all kinds of stuff here. Oh, there is one dude with blonde hair and glasses, but that doesn't look like him. Okay. Anyway, so this is Erik, and then let's go to the next one, which is Sebastian. I'm going to explain 3 characters and a half to you today. So don't worry, it's not everybody. It's just the main ones. My camera died. And I finished my crunch wrap off camera, so you aren't subjected to that torture again. Anyway, so now, wow, my hair is crazy. You know what? I also had way too much caffeine. I feel like that. That was probably awkward to look at. Okay, let's screen record my screen again. So just one more thing about Erik is he, through a series of unfortunate events, including the kidnapping of his foster brother, Ren, he is basically being hunted. I'm just going to show him again. Erik ends up being hunted by multiple different entities, specifically for the coding project that he was working on, that he no longer feels like he should turn in. He created this, this coding project that he was hired to create. He got some weird vibes, and so he decided to take off with it. And well, at the same time that he's running from multiple different entities, one being this corporation, one being, Sebastian at one point we'll get to next. He also has to discover and figure out his own like genetic and biological history to kind of understand and cope with why he's suddenly out of nowhere manifesting some extraordinary abilities. I said that very clunkily, but not only is he running away with this project that he was paid for and didn't deliver, but he's now suffering from some physical some of these new abilities or these issues. His body's not really his friend at the moment, and he's on the run. Okay, that was probably very complicated, but it shouldn't be. Brittany, stop. Okay, so going to Sebastian. Sebastian is a very powerful, he's the heir to the Petrov family line, which is a very prominent and powerful family in another city. He is currently in the same city as Erik, but his family is from a different country. I'm not going to get into the geography of this, but maybe later in a future video. But he is the most powerful, and his family is deeply connected to the biotech company, the main biotech company that kind of runs the city that we're in. And he definitely, I mean, you could see him here. He's kind of brainwashed or like indoctrinated to look at people in a certain way. I mean, he's also got a little bit of a grumpy just aura. He's not always grumpy, but he doesn't have a lot of patience. But yeah, he is connected to that main biotech company, which we'll talk about in a minute. I'll get to that. But basically, Sebastian is sent to recover this coding project that apparently Erik is run off with. He doesn't know who Erik is. Erik is kind of a ghost online, and he only gets hired for jobs specifically because he's notorious and well respected in that community online and stuff. But no one really knows his physical, like who he is as a person outside of the screen or behind the keyboard. So he's sent to go track this ghost coder down to get the project that was paid for and not delivered. The issue then is Sebastian does find him, and he's confronted with these underlying truths of what the biotech company is doing and what his family is doing. And he has to kind of come to terms with his own indoctrination, and he has to decide if he's going to set aside everything that he thought he knew and also his own morally gray ideologies to help Erik, basically, because of spoilers. Especially because he's the only one who can help Erik. If you can see any similarities here, he grew up with his abilities and is trained since infancy. So he's kind of the only one who recognizes and the only one who really knows what's going on with Erik. So he's got the answers that Erik needs, even though Erik doesn't know it at first. So that's him. There is some lore, dragon lore. Dragons are in this novel for sure, or at least their lore is. And I don't want to get into too many specifics because, like I said, once again, spoilers. This is definitely a good picture of who I imagined in my head for Sebastian. But dragon lore. There's some bloodline stuff in D&D and in like normal dragon lore. Dragons can manifest or like transition into a human form for some periods of time. It just depends on what, type of lore you're really reading. But that, and then if they have descendants, I didn't explain that very well. Anyway, so yeah, a bunch of stuff's going on. But I can't say too much. I might have already said too much. But yeah, so that's Sebastian. So going into my third main character, her name is Anya. Anya Haven. She is a immigrant from the UK, not the UK, but like kind of. It's all still, I will go over the geography later if people are interested, but basically she is the only child of the CEO of that biotech company. Her mother's name is Rainer, and she's kind of running the whole city as well. Anyway, doesn't matter. Anya was attacked at a very young age, and her father actually died in that same attack. And the only way her mother could save her was to with extensive cybernetic mods. So she has, these are just some images, but she has a cybernetic leg, arm, part of her torso, chunk of her brainstem, and brain and eye are all cybernetic. But those modifications come with a catch. She can basically be programmed with orders to fulfill. Sorry, I already said you can't see up here. Let's go down. Okay. And they can basically force her to do things that she doesn't necessarily consent to. And I don't mean that in a weird way, but I mean in like a go spy on this guy way, or go be a bodyguard for this situation, or maybe even hurt people. But, you know, as an adult, she's learned how to bypass a lot of that coding or a lot of those orders. She can hack herself, I guess. There's some cool different quotes in here that remind me of her. And she's got to constantly, you know, she still loves her mother, but she is battling with, anyway, she's pretty much a badass, and she has this robotic cat that she's programmed as a friend, and she has other friends, but yeah, so she is pretty much amazing. She ends up teaming up with Erik and Sebastian through a series of events, like I said, and she doesn't want to hurt her mother in any way. She still loves her, but it's just a matter of what is right. And I don't know why I'm saying this like this. Her main goal is to get through to her mother and make her see the damage that her company is doing to the city and to the people there. But she's also afraid to lose her mother, because not only does she love her, but she's the only family that Anya has left. And without her, she kind of feels like who could love her for the, you know, things that she's done. And she has a hard time identifying as just, you know, a full human. She feels that she's like more cyborg than human, and that there's no way someone can care for her that way, because she's not, like I said, human. What does it mean to be human? You see where I'm going with it? And also, I would just note that because the Petrov family and this biotech company have been very close for a very long time, Anya and Sebastian have known each other and have been friends, I guess, for a very long time. And then there is one other character that I don't have any pictures of, but I will mention, and he is not here. No. I just make this nice and big and look at it. There is one more character that matters in this story, and that's the narrator. And the narrator is actually the coding project and AI that Erik had been developing, that he's running away with. I won't get into details about that, but he goes by Nex, or that's what Erik calls him. And Nex is the narrator of the story, and his evolution throughout the novel it's my favorite. Some of my favorite aspects of the entire story. And honestly, that was one of the reasons why I actually forced myself to sit down and try to write it, because Nex is the coolest, and spoilers, I can't say a lot. Almost done here. Okay. Themes and heart of the story. I want to preface this again. I mentioned it earlier, but I don't know if I cut that or not. So I'm going to preface this with the fact that I don't want to have just themes slapped on. And I know that a lot of this you're supposed to discover your themes. I am so sorry about my cat. Sir, I love you. You can't stay up here. Okay, fine. Fine, I'll hold you. Okay. I know that you can write a book and not know the themes at all at first, and it can just show through your novel. But for me, there are some that I know are already there. I just think it's much more enjoyable to present a thematic argument and then write the book as an exploration and to like build an argument one way or the other, whether it's right or wrong, just to kind of just explore it and make it, you know, where it's comfortable, where it's uncomfortable, and very nuanced. So that being said, the book at its core is about family and humanity, obviously. What does it mean to be human? So man versus machine, human versus AI. How far can you go in the name of love before you could become a monster? And then is humanity then monstrous? I don't know. I'm also exploring those themes of transhumanism and the ethics of bioengineering and its societal impacts. Okay. Informed consent, privacy, enhancement versus therapy, things like that, like benefits and harm, all of that about bioengineering, because I think that it's also a very nuanced topic. And then how ancient prophecies would manifest in a technologically advanced world. So I think it's complicated but interesting, and I think I can do it. Anyway, so aesthetic and creative influences. So I mentioned earlier, Arcane is the biggest influence. Second would be just Dungeons and Dragons. I've played Dungeons and Dragons for a long time. And I'm DMing them now, and I wrote a cyberpunk D&D campaign that we're going to start soon, hopefully. And so Arcane specifically, though, setting and characters, everyone there is like so 4-dimensional, and everyone thinks that they're doing the right thing, but they're, depends on your perspective. And there's so many, it's just so complex, but relatable. So it's a huge influence. And then there's a few others. I'll probably list them here. Be honest, I don't want to get too deep into it, but yeah. I just found out that I can record as my camera's charging. I don't know why I didn't think that could happen. Anyways, so like I said, Arcane, a huge one. I could write an essay on every single character in that show, and I'm not kidding, every single one. And I don't know, no one's truly bad and no one's truly good, and everyone makes mistakes, and there's beauty in that. So that's kind of where I want to go with my novel as well. And the aesthetics are also like almost spot on. The other thing is, there's this book called, The Darkness Outside Us by Elliot Schrafer. A fantastic book. I highly recommend, 10 out of 10. These two guys are stuck in space. It's a long story. They're like not enemies, but they're like not rivals. They're from two different countries and they're stuck in space together. And there's all kinds of stuff going on, like rogue AI on the ship. There's so many mysteries, and their romance is super sweet. And it knocked my socks off. But the reason I bring this up is because it's a standalone, or it was until it wasn't. Elliot Schrafer, I guess, this is called The Brightness Between Us. Elliot Schrafer said that he didn't plan to write a sequel or anything like that, but unless he had something to say, like that he had something he wanted to say basically with the book. And I would say, holy crap, this was fantastic as well. And I got a lot of influence or like inspiration from the world in here for setting and everything. Actually, this is fantastic. So that's another really big motivator or inspiration for my book. So if you ever get a chance, these are fire. I would also honorable mention to Winter's Orbit by Everina Maxwell. I just read that off of my bookshelf. Loved that book also. And then All Systems Red, or the Murderbot Diaries also was another one. So yeah, they were fantastic. Where I am in the writing process. Okay, this is the first draft of my novel. I know I've scrapped it. You can probably go a couple of videos back. I'll link it up here. But I restarted my novel again, my draft, after writing several thousand, 30,000 words this time, I think. But I'm proud to say that I'm pretty much done with Act 1. I did leave some holes. I mentioned earlier, I have to connect the first couple of chapters to The Catalyst. There's a little bit of a gap there, but I knew I was going to come and write that later. So, but yeah, I'm pretty solid. I'm about to start Act 2, and I feel like Act 2 is going to go a lot better because I have a lot more of content. I have more of an outline really for Act 2. So I actually have everything laid out in a way that I want to write it, and I don't feel like it's too vague and I just don't get like that blank paper stare in my face and get, intimidated by the blank page, because I have so much already written down. And I'm sharing my journey right now because it's forcing me to be accountable, because it's embarrassing to go on YouTube or go in the public and have to admit that you failed because you stopped showing up for yourself. And so I said this earlier too. It's okay. I can fail myself and I don't feel bad about it. But if I fail other people, I feel really bad about it. I think that's the eldest child syndrome, but or people pleaser in me. But yeah, so I'm using YouTube as a tool to get my butt in gear and to write this first draft, this 0 draft. And so that way I can get like some content in my hands that I can then polish and make it more like the story that I have in my mind. You know what I mean? I think I'm definitely going to be hitting my stride in revisions. I think just by drafting, I already kind of can tell. I love to revise because that's why I keep going back and revising. People say to do a 0 draft. I actually was talking to someone in the comments earlier about that. In theory, yes, I would love to do a 0 draft. In practice, it's so hard to keep myself from doing revisions. And revising something to death. So I just, okay, it's hard to put, but I'm going to do a zero draft. This is a zero draft, first draft, whatever. That's what this is. And we're just going to make it happen. And then, I really want to have this draft done in the story, like the story I have in my mind, because I really want to share this story. Because if there's anyone else out there who has the same itch for this type of story that I do, and it makes someone happy, then I know I'm going to be happy. Because they could literally, if you think about it, there's someone out there that probably is sitting there not knowing, but honestly just waiting for your story to exist for them. So yeah, I like that idea, and I think it's worth it. Now that you've heard a lot about my book, but also like nothing, but now that you've heard what you've heard about my book, what do you think? Tell me in the comments, I guess. Please be nice. I know I was a little all over the place, but let me know if you are drawn to any characters, or if you want more explanation or description, or if you want me to do this again and just focus on like characters or plot, because I really didn't give a lot of plot out right now. But wherever you are in your story, keep going. I am, and we're gonna write our books together, like now, like this year. And then if you want to follow this book's journey, subscribe, I guess. And if you made it this far in this video, thank you. Also, I would just ask, maybe put a robot emoji in the comments. Yeah, I hope I see a robot in the comments at some point. Anyway, have a good night. I don't know how to get off of this. I realized I totally forgot to do my Spotify playlist, but I think that's for the best.